Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The subject of the discourse today is the controlling faculties, Indriya, how they work. First of all, let us have an analogy. They are something like karmic remains. A remain means something of the past, you see, some monument, some remains of past history, all that is preserved. Say, Ajanta in Ellora, Nalanda, Buddhagaya, Sarnath, in all these places the remains, old remains abound, and they unfold the story of the past in very eloquent terms indeed. And then having this potency to reveal the past, these require a constant process of maintenance. That means you see, some kind of reconstruction and construction activities. So a process of renewal keeps on these very sites. You see, under various schemes and so on, you see, as a history, archaeological activities, all kinds of things. So these Indriyas, about which I have already mentioned, about 9 of them, there are 22 such Indriyas, and 9 of them are very active and potent, and we have already mentioned about them. These are, I will again repeat, I will just have a bird's eye view of what has been already mentioned. First of all, we have the senses, the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body. These 5 material Indriyas or bases, sense bases, they are the 5 Indriyas. And then there is the mind itself acting as an Indriya. And then there are the Indriyas which determine our gender, the masculine, male and the female gender. And both these are very specific and having very different mindsets, very different mentality and way of perceiving things and knowing things and so on. Then there is what is called Jivitindriya, the fact that we are alive, that we are sentient beings, and the process of being alive is kept up by a certain karmic potency. So that Indriya which keeps it up is known as Jivita Indriya. The vital faculty that keeps the sentience going, state of a sentient being going. Then there is also the other thing, what is called heart base. That is the base for the consciousness, is not so much the physical heart, but that physical heart is a factor that upholds. It has got a subtle material base for the mind, for the consciousness to be based. Up to this we have discussed. Then there are these feelings that arise. Then there are various states of spiritual and moral states which control our lives. Indriya simply means that which controls. It means a potency or a power that controls life, controls the mind, and so on. Now imagine, the example I gave in the previous talks, say a blind man. I will give you an example from the Jataka. There was the very wise king and that was Bodhisattva himself. Now he had a council of ministers and councillors, very powerful men, men of great learning, great intelligence, and they were all very, very specialized people in different fields of knowledge and skill and activities of all kinds. Now these, they are something like, you see, we have the story of the Vikramaditya's Ratnas, Navaratnas. So something like that. These men, this is long, long in the past, when the Buddha had not, he was preparing himself as a Bodhisattva to fulfilling all the supreme perfections that grew into the Buddha Gautama. So now, as a Bodhisattva, he was the king, and he had this Ratnas, a whole set of very powerful, intelligent and skillful individuals, very specialized. Now, you see, various topics would arise every day connected with state administration, or with the individuals. The king was also the head of the justice system. He was the head. Under him there was Chief Justice, of course. And Chief Justice was one of the part of these Ratnas. And the general of the army and so on. So these people would keep on arguing on and on for hours and hours. And they delighted in talking and talking and talking. They are, in other words, they were the precursors of our modern set of ministerial leaders, both at the state and the central level. However, so now these men, with all the, you see, weighed down by their so-called knowledge and intelligence and wisdom, which of course they did not have, they thought they have, and so on. So the king got very tired of all that. He says, every time I give them a particular, you see, a question and ask them to produce a proper, solution to the problem, no. The question of solution would never come. They will keep on talking and prolong the whole thing. So one day a fine idea arose into his head. Something like some kind of an insight, a kind of brain storm that occurred. So he said, look here, I want an elephant to be brought into this council, and half a dozen or more blind people who are absolutely, they're from birth, they're birth blind, they're born blind, so such people have never seen anything in life. And they don't know the power of the visual sight, the power of seeing. Seeing is not just seeing an object, but is the very basis for all knowledge and the experience of life in the world, and creating a whole destiny here and now and hereafter through this faculty of seeing. Now, so he said, I want all these people to be brought. Prime Minister, you get along all these people quick. So they were all hauled up from different parts of the country. These people were brought in front, right in the middle of the, right on the floor of the council, and assembly hall rather, and the king was there presiding, and the Chief Justice, all these very big people, all of the Ratnas are all there. So the question, the king never gave the question to anybody. He just kept it to himself. Now when these people, the blind men were arraigned before him, and he said, "My dears, now do you like to see an elephant?" They say, "Elephant? What is this elephant business? What is that?" So you don't know elephant, huh? He said, no, Your Majesty, we don't know what is that. So you want to see? You want to know? Well, yes, we want to know. Very good. So here is an elephant right before you. Now all one by one, you just go and experience, touch or do whatever you like with that particular object. And tell me your impression about that object. What do you think about it? That is how all of them, one by one, they examined, investigated, touched, and licked. All kinds of manipulations they had. And then they say only one thing they could not do is see. They heard also. They made the elephant make a little noise. So now the king said, "Okay, you have now seen, my dears, sit down all of you, be very comfortable, be very calm and just ask your mind. You have got a mind and you talk to your mind very often. Now please talk to your mind and ask, what is it that elephant, what this elephant is that I have now experienced?" Now each one gave a different description of the object that he had experienced. He has sensed rather. Through these various senses, he had the other senses active. So he has sensed this object, and the sensation produced by the sense, the sensing. Now on the basis of that they gave. He says, well, a man had caught hold of the leg, big leg. He said, oh, it's a big, very big pillar, a monument like. Your Majesty, elephant is a pillar. So all the others, now the councillors, etc., all of them laughed. King said, no laughing please. Just watch and gain some wisdom from them. So the next man, the king asked, now, my dear, what about you? He had caught hold of the trunk. And he said, my goodness, what a huge lata, that means a creeper. And what is the wonderful touch, it's so soft, this creeper, huge creeper. So they all laughed as usual. The king said no. So he said, the first man said, no, Your Majesty, he is lying. It's a pillar. Then this fellow said, hey, shut up. What do you know? You don't know anything. I know everything. All laughed again. So when these two started fighting, so the others laughed. So the third man came. He said, no, both of them are wrong, Your Majesty. You put them in the jail. They have lied. So then what do you think? Oh, it's a winnowing basket, a huge winnowing basket. He had touched the ear. And so on, he described what a basket is. Winnowing basket. So the elephant became a winnowing basket. The other fellow touched the tail. And he said, oh, what a huge rope. My goodness, you can climb on the top of the Himalaya. All laughed. So like that, everyone, you see, touched a particular portion and smelled and even licked and did all kinds of things. And the result was this. Different descriptions of the same object. And not only that, they quarreled with each other. they fought with each other, they abused each other. All these on the basis of misperception, misconceived, deluded knowledge. Now, this is a Jataka story. You find it elsewhere also. The Arabs took away from our country and made it a part of their heritage. Then the Romans stole from the Arabs, and now it's a part, it's international stuff. So this is how knowledge also travels and then gets misinterpreted or exaggerated or all kinds of things. So when the king, when this happened, all this drama, then he asked all his counselors. He dismissed these blind people and asked this elephant to be sent away. He gave them, all of them he gave lot of prizes, lot of things, gifts of all kinds, and made them very happy, fed them very well, and then sent them away. Then he asked all these very learned people. They were so heavily burdened with their knowledge. And they said, my dear, what do you think of this big drama? Most of them gave their own interpretation. They are very voluminous, very talkative, so they couldn't get out of that habit of being talkative. But some of them were weighed down by shame. They said, Your Majesty, I am grateful to you. I thought that I knew everything, but now I know how little I know and how vast the area that I don't know. So His Majesty, he said, thank you, Counselor, that's very good of you. And so this is a story just to illustrate. Now, you see, as I mentioned, these remains are something like karmic remains. They preserve the history of the past, so to say. Whatever we have done in the past, and the result of which is still not experienced, their unspent karmic potency within our psyche. Now these are, so to say, they are stationed, to use a modernish word, they are in these indriyas. They function through these indriyas, so to say. Now, therefore, the importance of the indriya, you see, it can tell the story of our past, their karmic, all the huge karmic accumulated potency that we carry within ourselves. Much of it is revealed, and much of it is spent away through these again. You have an ability to see, and you misuse your ability to see. Now I will give you this story from Dhammapada. This is very, very important and very wonderful story. Many of you probably know already. Chakkupala, the Venerable Chakkupala, Arahat Chakkupala, he was blinded. As he became an enlightened person, that very moment he lost his eyesight. And then, when he lost it, he understood the karmic bondage, the karmic huge bondage that he carried with him, with the attainment of enlightenment, all that has also given the final result and gone. It's like the British who were told, hey, quit, or else we'll start another national movement. Gandhi said, I am going to fast again. And all sorts of things happened, and the war also started. Hitler was pounding at their butt. So all this happened, So that moment they said, look here, we have to go anyway. So but let us teach a very fine lesson. So the Hegel during the war and kept all these people prisoner they were imprisoned, Gandhi and the whole lot of them, the freedom fighters. And the old story, all of you know, India, they succeeded in breaking up India into two. And the legacy of that we are suffering. Not only we, even the Pakistanis or the Bangladeshis. There is a continuous thing. It goes on and on in some form or other. So the karma story, the Chakupala story is very interesting. It's something like, let's say, the story of egg and hen. The hen comes out of egg. Then it begins to produce eggs. And then those eggs again hen. So egg-hen story is the story of karma and rebirth. Now this has been very eloquently, you see, enunciated by the Lord of all wisdom, Bhagavan Buddha, in a teaching called the Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination of all beings. That is the law of karma and rebirth. What is the dynamics, the working principle? How does it work? So it is said, avijja pachaya sankhara vijnana pachaya. You see, due to this immense unknowing, avidya, ignorance or delusion, one commits all kinds of karma. In the past, we have done all kinds of karma motivated by and large by, not by and large, mostly by ignorance or delusion. And the ignorance and delusion never go alone. They go along with craving, tanha, wanting, grabbing, accumulating, seeking, greed. These are the factors which go together, and they work like work in tandem. That is a cycle which two persons must operate, one behind the other. That kind of thing you don't have now, but they are found here and there in the West as well as in circus, they show that. So both this ignorance and tanha, craving, which produces attachment, they work up. All the karmas are motivated by these. So they commit all kinds of karma formation, that is bodily, verbal and mental volitional actions, intentional actions, resulting in rebirth in this present life. And then now, having been born, you keep on again get involved in accumulating all kinds of activities, karmas, in performing all kinds of volitional, intentional actions. And an action has a potency, it has a power. The power is that it can produce a result. Potency means something which has the ability or the power to produce a result. Like the mango, it has the ability or the power to produce another mango. Mango produces mango, dog produces dog, human beings begets human beings. Now this story is the karma and punarjanma. So this then having accumulated enough of karmic energies now in this particular life, at the end of life when we are facing the critical moment of death, that is where these karmas get activated and catapult the consciousness into a new sphere of existence. Rebirth, we are born again. And so on, this Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathade shayanam. To be born again and again, to die again and again, and then to be reborn again and again in a mother's womb, as a human being. There are other beings in a different ways. So now this is the story of life, karma and rebirth. In Paticca Samuppada, 3 lives are mentioned, past, present, future. And very, very clearly it has been taught by the Buddha. Anybody who is serious about life should go through this teaching on Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination of life, conditioned existence, which is also popularly called the wheel of life. A wheel moves on and on by its own motivation, self-motivated. So this is a self-motivated, self-generated, self-fed mechanism called life. We should understand it. So now, how did this great person, Chakkupala Bhante, who became an Arhat? See, he was a very rich man, he was not an ordinary person. He decided, he had a brother, he called his brother one day, he said, look here, I have understood what life is. Life is a basically unsatisfactory condition. And I would like to be free from this unsatisfactory condition, this wheel of existence. I would like to seek something that transcends this kind of unsatisfactory state and find an access unto the most satisfactory, the state of bliss, Nibbanang Paramang Sukhang, the state of utter bliss in Nibbana. So he called his brother, and he was a good devotee of Lord Buddha. So he knew the Paticca Samuppada, and he says, no, there is no end to this. One day or other we have to get out. There is no question of keep on going and endlessly come and go, and no meaning to this. So he was not only rich, he was a very, very learned Pandit. He mastered all the Vedas and so on. So when he did this, his brother started crying. He said, no, brother, here all the wealth and everything of the family is in your hand. Be happy. And told his family also, I am now going. He didn't have any issue. So that is how he became a monk, and then he put forth immense effort, absolutely relentless, very energetic and vigorous effort. And at a time he was living in a little cave, and in the nearby village he used to go once a day for a pindapata, the alms round. And that is how he lived for months and months. Nothing happened for years. Then suddenly one day he said, do or die. He put forth tremendous effort, and then he succeeded. And his consciousness is soared into the plane of the supermundane, the transcendental experience of lokutra jnana, the transcendental states of wisdom or penetrative wisdom with Nibbana as the object. And his mind was transformed, he became Arhat, a liberated, enlightened disciple of the Buddha. So when he said, now how do I move about? He went to the village, and the villagers saw, they cried, and they had his nephew brought. And the nephew said, all right, I will take him to Jetavana, where Buddha was. So on the way he did something bad, and so he said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with a evil-minded youngster. You go, I will walk on my own. Though I am sightless, but my mind's eye has opened. My the eye of wisdom has opened. That is how now, when he said this, Sakya, the king of the Devas, he became aware. And he says, my goodness. So he immediately appeared before him like a young man. And he said, Venerable sir, can I take you? As he walked, slowly on the highway, he says, who are you? He said, I am just a Upasaka, Venerable sir. I want to serve you. So he said, he immediately, focused his supernormal power and found out it was no other than Sakko the Devaraja Indra. So he said, all right, take it. Take me to Buddha. That is how it happened. He lived there. And one day he was whole night meditating up and down. So in the ambulatory, that is where he meditated, a lot of little insects got, killed because he was walking up and down, he couldn't see. In the morning, these monks who came there and he saw, he said, oh, he has killed all these so many living creatures in the name of his meditation. What? So they made fun. So they went to the Buddha and reported. The Buddha called him. He says, Lord knows everything. Sarvajna. So my son, you shall tell the truth. He said, no son, I am not aware of anything. I have not done anything intentionally to destroy life. How can I do that anymore? So the Lord told them, look monks, he is an Arhat. So they took pardon from him and so on. Now this is the man had paid a very heavy price. How? The past story is very interesting. He was a doctor in the past. And a poor woman who had a lot of eye trouble used to come and take medicine from him. And he said, look, either you work as a maid or do something, otherwise I won't give medicine. So he said, all right, I'll be your maid servant. So she worked. Then her eyes became more or less all right. So he asked, are you okay? Now he had a lustful thought about her. So he wanted to satisfy his lust. So he said, are you okay? She said, she became aware that he didn't look quite proper and she had children. She said, no, let me not be molested by him. That is how he said, no, sir, not quite. He said, not quite, okay. So he gave a visha, a kind of poisonous medicine, and that completely made that woman blind. He paid this tremendous price even at the last stage of his life. Thereafter he became blind in many, many lives indeed. He paid a very, very heavy price. And there you are. The karma that he had committed had such tremendous potency that it worked out life after life and he lost the precious power of seeing and thereby losing a whole world of knowledge. So this is it. So karma and punarjanma, you can't avoid the consequences of your karmas. So now these indriyas, they are like power centers where the karmic factors are worked out. Now Jivit Indriya is a particular indriya that deals with all the accumulated karmas of the past. So a lot of our past karmas get exhausted or are spent through these other indriyas. You see an object, you become lustful and you do a bad karma. Or you become egoistic and whatnot and you do a bad karma. You pay for it. So the instrument was your seeing, eye. Or you see something and your mind is filled with devotion, filled with compassion, filled with loving kindness, filled with sympathy and filled with generosity to give. Now the same eye is doing both these jobs. One kusala, wholesome, the other akusala, unwholesome. two different types of karma, and you pay for it. Again and again you are born with the eye, and again you keep on doing those kinds of things. And again the hen and the egg story continue. That is life. So the very crucial role of Indriya must be understood. And how these Indriyas are the center where feelings arise. And the feelings in turn conduces to attachment, craving, and then karma. That we will continue with this in the next discourse. With this I conclude. May the blessings of Bhagavan, Buddha, His Dhamma and Sangha surround your lives with wisdom and well-being. May you all be happy. Sukhino bhavantu.